Hey there, music lovers. Today, we're diving into the dark underbelly of the 1970s music scene. It's not all glitter and gold records. Some of our most beloved artists lived lives filled with tragedy and turmoil. So sit back, maybe grab a tissue, and let's explore the tragic lives of singers from the 70s. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, lived a life that was anything but ordinary. Behind the flashy jumpsuits and swiveling hips was a man grappling with the pressures of fame and a crippling addiction to prescription drugs. Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, kept him on a grueling schedule of performances and movie appearances, pushing the star to his limits. Some say Parker was more interested in lining his own pockets than in Elvis's well-being. The king's eating habits were as excessive as his drug use, with reports of him consuming up to 65,000 calories a day at his peak. In the end, Elvis's lifestyle caught up with him. On August 16, 1977, at the age of 42, Elvis was found unresponsive on his bathroom floor at Graceland. The official cause of death was heart failure, but the cocktail of drugs in his system undoubtedly played a role. The king had left the building for the last time, leaving behind a legacy of music and a cautionary tale about the perils of fame. Karen Carpenter had a voice that could melt hearts, but behind the scenes, she was fighting a battle that would ultimately claim her life. As one half of the Carpenters duo, with her brother Richard, Karen faced intense pressure to maintain a certain image. In a time when curves were celebrated, Karen's record label pushed her to lose weight, setting her on a destructive path. She began using thyroid medication to speed up her metabolism and laxatives to purge what little she ate. Karen's struggle with anorexia nervosa was a silent killer. Despite interventions from family and friends, she couldn't overcome the disease. On February 4th, 1983, at the young age of 32, Karen's heart gave out. The years of malnutrition had taken their toll, and the world lost one of its most angelic voices. Karen's death brought attention to the dangers of eating disorders, but it came at far too high a cost. Janice Joplin was the queen of rock and blues, with a raw, powerful voice that seemed to channel pure emotion. But offstage, Janice was a lost soul, seeking acceptance and love in all the wrong places. She struggled with alcohol and drug addiction, using heroin to numb the pain of a world that had often rejected her. Janice's bisexuality was ahead of her time, and she faced criticism and judgment from a society that wasn't ready to accept her as she was. On October 4th, 1970, Janice became another member of the infamous 27 Club. She was found dead in her hotel room from a heroin overdose, likely triggered by a particularly pure batch of the drug. Janice had been clean for a while, but one moment of weakness proved fatal. Her death came just 16 days after Jimi Hendrix's, sending shockwaves through the music community and leaving fans to wonder what might have been if she had lived. Hey folks, let's take a breather here. We've just scratched the surface of these incredible artists' lives, and I'm sure many of you have your own memories of them. Why not share your thoughts in the comments? Did you ever see any of these legends perform live? How did their music impact your life? Let's keep their memories alive by sharing our stories. Jim Morrison, the Lizard King himself, lived life on the edge. As the frontman of the Doors, Morrison pushed boundaries both on and off stage. His provocative lyrics and on-stage antics often landed him in hot water, including an arrest for indecent exposure during a 1969 concert in Miami. Morrison's appetite for alcohol and drugs was legendary, and his behavior became increasingly erratic as the years went on. Some say he was a poet trapped in a rock star's body, struggling to reconcile his artistic ambitions with the demands of fame. Morrison's death remains shrouded in mystery. On July 3, 1971, he was found dead in a bathtub in Paris. The official cause was listed as heart failure, but no autopsy was performed. Rumors have swirled for decades about what really happened that night, with theories ranging from a heroin overdose to a CIA plot. Whatever the truth, the world lost a complex and talented artist far too soon at the age of 27. John Lennon's wife was a roller coaster of highs and lows. As a member of the Beatles, he achieved a level of fame and success that was unprecedented. But the pressure took its toll, and Lennon's personal life was often tumultuous. His first marriage to Cynthia Powell crumbled under the weight of his fame and infidelity. His relationship with Yoko Ono was controversial, with many fans blaming her for the breakup of the Beatles. Lennon's political activism and outspoken nature made him a target of the U.S. government, which tried to deport him in the early 70s. Lennon's tragic end came just as he was entering a new phase of his life. After a 5-year hiatus from music to focus on raising his son, Sean, Lennon had just released a new album, Double Fantasy. On December 8, 1980, as he was returning home to the Dakota apartment building in New York City, Lennon was shot 4 times by Mark David Chapman, a deranged fan who had asked for his autograph earlier that day. Lennon's murder shocked the world and robbed us of one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. Freddy Prince was a rising star in the comedy world, breaking barriers as one of the first Latino actors to have a leading role on American television. As the star of Chico and the Man, Prince brought laughter to millions of homes. But behind his infectious smile and quick wit, Prince was battling demons. He struggled with depression and drug use, using cocaine and quaaludes to cope with the pressures of fame and his turbulent personal life. Prince's life came to a tragic end on January 29, 1977. After a series of phone calls to friends and family, including his estranged wife, Prince shot himself in the head in front of his business manager. He was just 22 years old. Some argue that his death was accidental, a cry for help gone wrong. But regardless of intent, the world lost a bright talent far too soon. Prince left behind a young son, Freddie Prinze Jr., who would go on to become a successful actor in his own right. David Cassidy rode the wave of teen idol fame in the early 70s as the star of the Partridge Family. With his boyish good looks and catchy pop tunes, Cassidy had the world at his feet, but the reality of his situation was far from the perfect image portrayed on screen. Cassidy resented being typecast as a bubblegum pop star and yearned to be taken seriously as a musician. The pressure of maintaining his squeaky clean image while dealing with the realities of fame led him down a dark path. As the years went on, Cassidy's struggles with alcoholism became increasingly apparent. He had multiple DUI arrests and stints in rehab. In later years, Cassidy also battled dementia, a condition that had plagued his mother and grandfather. On November 21, 2017, Cassidy died of liver failure at the age of 67. His last words were reportedly, "So much wasted time," a poignant reflection on a life that had so much promise but was derailed by addiction and the lingering effects of fame. Jimi Hendrix was a guitar virtuoso who revolutionized rock music in the short time he was with us. His innovative playing techniques and psychedelic sound pushed the boundaries of what was possible with an electric guitar. But Hendrix's personal life was as chaotic as his music was groundbreaking. He struggled with alcohol and drug abuse, using a dangerous cocktail of substances to fuel his creativity and cope with the demands of his skyrocketing career. On September 18, 1970, Hendrix's light was extinguished far too soon. He was found unresponsive in a London apartment, having asphyxiated on his own vomit after taking a large dose of barbiturates. Hendrix was only 27 years old, joining the ranks of the 27 Club alongside other music legends who died at the same age. His death was a shocking loss to the music world, leaving fans to wonder what incredible sounds he might have created had he lived longer. All right, music fans, we've just covered some heavy material, and I'm sure it's stirring up a lot of emotions. Why not take a moment to share your favorite song or memory of these artists in the comments? Did Hendrix guitar solos blow your mind? Did you have a crush on David Cassidy? Let's celebrate the joy these musicians brought to our lives, even as we reflect on their tragic endings. Brian Jones was a founding member of the Rolling Stones, but his story often gets overshadowed by the band's continued success after his departure. Jones was a multi-instrumentalist who gave the Stones their early bluesy sound. However, his contributions were increasingly sidelined as Mick Jagger and Keith Richards took control of the band's direction. Jones's drug use spiraled out of control, and his behavior became erratic, leading to his dismissal from the band in June 1969. Just a month after leaving the Stones, on July 3, 1969, Jones was found dead in his swimming pool at Cotchford Farm, his East Sussex home. The coroner's report cited death by misadventure. but theories about foul play have persisted for decades. Jones was another member of the 27 Club, his promising career cut short just as he was planning to form a new band and chart his own course. Richard Pryor was a comedic genius who broke new ground with his raw, honest, and often profane style of stand-up. But Pryor's life was as turbulent as his comedy was groundbreaking. He struggled with drug addiction for much of his career, particularly cocaine and freebasing cocaine. Pryor's personal life was equally chaotic, with multiple marriages and a history of domestic violence. One of the most shocking incidents in Pryor's life occurred on June 9, 1980. While freebasing cocaine, Pryor doused himself with rum and set himself on fire. He survived with severe burns over 50% of his body and spent 6 weeks recovering in the hospital. This incident became fodder for his comedy, but it was a stark illustration of how far his addiction had taken him. Later in life, Pryor was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which slowly robbed him of his mobility and eventually his voice. He died of a heart attack on December 10, 2005, at the age of 65, leaving behind a complex legacy of brilliant comedy and personal struggles. Otis Reading was a soul singer whose powerful voice and emotive performances earned him the nickname the King of Soul. Despite his short career, Reading had a significant impact on the music world, influencing countless artists who came after him. He was known for his electrifying live performances and his ability to convey deep emotion through his music. Tragically, Reading's life and career were cut short just as he was on the brink of superstardom. On December 10, 1967, Reading's private plane crashed into Lake Monona in Wisconsin. He was just 26 years old. Ironically, his biggest hit, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, was released posthumously and became the first posthumous single to top the charts in the U.S. Reading's death robbed the world of an incredible talent, leaving fans to wonder what heights he might have reached had he lived. Jim Croce was a talented singer-songwriter known for his storytelling lyrics and folksy style. His hits like Bad Bad Leroy Brown and Time in a Bottle showcased his ability to create vivid characters and touch on universal themes. Despite his success, Croce struggled financially for much of his career, working odd jobs to support his family while pursuing his music. Just as Croce's career was taking off, tragedy struck. On September 20, 1973, after finishing a concert in Natchitoches, Louisiana, Croce boarded a small chartered plane. Shortly after takeoff, the plane crashed into a tree, killing Croce, his guitarist, Mari Mulhisen, and everyone else on board. Croce was only 30 years old. In a cruel twist of fate, Time in a Bottle, a song Croce had written for his infant son, became a #1 hit after his death. Its lyrics about the fleeting nature of life taking on new poignancy. Marvin Gay was a soul music icon whose smooth voice and socially conscious lyrics helped shape the sound of Motown. But behind the scenes, Gay's life was far from harmonious. He struggled with depression, drug addiction, and financial problems throughout his career. His relationship with his father, Marvin Gay Sr., was particularly turbulent, marked by years of physical and emotional abuse. Gay's life came to a shocking and violent end on April 1, 1984, just one day before his 45th birthday. During an argument at their family home, Marvin Gay Sr. shot and killed his son. The tragedy stunned the music world and robbed us of one of the greatest voices in soul music. Gay's death was a stark reminder of the family trauma that had haunted him throughout his life, and a tragic end to a career that had brought so much joy to millions. Folks, we've covered a lot of ground here, and I know it's heavy stuff, but let's not forget the incredible music these artists left behind. How about sharing your favorite Marvin Gaye or Jim Croce song in the comments? Or tell us about a concert experience that left a lasting impression. Music has the power to heal and bring us together, even in the face of tragedy. Graham Parsons was a pioneer of country rock, blending traditional country music with rock and roll to create a new sound that influenced generations of musicians. Despite his upper-class background, Parsons was drawn to the raw emotion of country music and sought to bring it to a wider audience. However, his innovation in music was matched by his appetite for drugs and alcohol, which ultimately led to his downfall. On September 19, 1973, Parsons died from an overdose of morphine and alcohol in a hotel room in Joshua Tree, California. He was just 26 years old. In a bizarre twist, his road manager and a friend stole Parsons' body from the airport and attempted to cremate it in Joshua Tree National Park, fulfilling a pact they claimed to have made with Parsons. The incident became the stuff of rock and roll legend, overshadowing Parsons' musical legacy for years to come. Ronnie VanZant was the lead singer and primary lyricist of Lynyrd Skynyrd, a band that helped define the sound of Southern rock. Known for hits like Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird, VanZant's storytelling lyrics and distinctive vocal made him a standout figure in 1970s rock. However, the band's hard-living lifestyle, fueled by alcohol and drugs, often led to tension and conflict. Tragedy struck on October 20, 1977, when the plane carrying Lynyrd Skynyrd crashed in a forested area of Mississippi. VanZant, along with guitarist Steve Gaines, backup singer Cassie Gaines, and several others, were killed in the crash. VanZant was only 29 years old. The crash occurred just 3 days after the release of their album Street Survivors, which eerily featured a cover image of the band engulfed in flames. The image was quickly pulled and replaced out of respect for the victims. Andy Gibb, the younger brother of the Bee Gees, seemed destined for stardom from an early age. With his boyish good looks and pop star pedigree, Gibb quickly rose to fame with hits like I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing. However, the pressure of living up to his brother's success and the temptations of the music industry led Gibb down a destructive path. Despite his initial success, Gibb struggled with cocaine addiction and depression throughout his career. His drug use affected his ability to perform and record, leading to a decline in his career by the mid-1980s. After several attempts at rehabilitation, Gibb seemed to be on the road to recovery. However, years of drug abuse had taken their toll on his heart. On March 10, 1988, just 5 days after his 30th birthday, Gibb died of myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle. His death was a stark reminder of the lasting damage that drug abuse can cause, even after an individual has stopped using. As we wrap up this journey through the tragic lives of these 1970s icons, it's impossible to not feel a sense of loss. These artists gave us so much: their music, their passion, their vulnerabilities, and in many cases, paid the ultimate price for their art and fame. Their stories serve as a cautionary tale about the dark side of stardom, the dangers of addiction, and the fragility of life. But let's not forget the incredible legacies they left behind. Their artistry continues to inspire, comfort, and move us decades after their passing. In many ways, these artists achieved a kind of immortality through their art. So the next time you hear an Elvis ballad, a Karen Carpenter love song, or a blistering Hendrix solo, take a moment to appreciate the incredible talent and the all-too-human struggles of the artists behind the music. And remember, in the end, it's not the length of a life that matters, but the depth of its impact. This is where we'll end our exploration of the tragic lives of singers from the 70s. If you enjoyed this journey through music history, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. What impact did these artists have on your life? Until next time, keep the music playing and the memories alive.